It's been rainy.
Mm, yeah, it's been a little dreary here in Rochester, upstate New York, but it's always rainy here. So,
You have to remind me. Okay, so you work for RIT, right?
yeah, so I'm here like in the office and like showing face and hoping they don't fire me while I'm working fully remote. Yep.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
so how okay, but you don't live there, right? You're in Dallas
No,
usually.
yeah, I'm like house sitting for my bestie who lives here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Got it.
yeah, yeah.
Because I used to live there. My mom still
Yep.
lives in Brockport.
You went to RIT, right?
Yep, yep, for undergrad.
So cool. Small world. It's incredible.
I know. And you know who else is from Rochester? Well, oh my gosh, I just said it like a non-Rochesterian too. The second the E pronounced. Jen Ruiz is actually from the Rochester area.
I saw that she was just at Fringe Fest.
Yeah,
So
her mom basically lives right near my mom.
that's incredible. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I'll have to say something.
I think she did undergrad at maybe U of R, and then she did her grad at Maryland. So that's kind of weird because I did my grad at Maryland too. So we were both in Rochester
Yay.
for our undergrads, different schools, and then we both did our grad degrees at Maryland.
Love that.
Anyhow, that's all about me and Jen Ruiz, except I'm not Latina and I'm not traveling full time yet.
But that's the goal. We're getting there.
Yeah, yeah. Otherwise, we're exactly the same people.
Awesome. Love a great connection. New Yorkers. My
Upstate.
favorite kind of people. Yeah, upstate New Yorkers. You got to make sure to include that part.
Oh my gosh, it's such a thing. When I moved down here, I would meet people and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm from New York too." And they'd be like, "Oh, whereabouts?" And I'd be like, "Upstate." And they'd be like, "Oh." And
Yeah.
then somebody once said to me, "I hate when people try to like act like they're from the city." And I'm like, "I didn't try to act like I was from like there's a whole state."
Yeah. When I say New York, people think New York City immediately.
Yeah, they always do. But then New Yorkers think that you're like trying to get one over on people. And I'm like, no, I'm not. It's just easier to say.
Hmm.
Alrighty, well, love that we're already chatting about where we're from. For those of you that are just now joining, feel free to share where you're tuning in from in the chat. We have somebody in LA. That was just in upstate New York. Okay, love it.
Could be.
Nice fall getaway. We have Beatrice from Chicago. Alrighty, well, as you are typing your hometowns in the chat, I'll go ahead and get started. So welcome to How to Get Invited on Press Trips. I'm going to go ahead and kindly mute everyone just so that we don't have any extra background noises for those that are watching the recording. And with that, let's jump right into it. So before we get started, I always say, you know you better than I do. So if you know you need to turn off some distractions, such as close out some of those tabs on your computer, put your phone on DND, close the door, put your AirPods in. This presentation is going to be around 40 minutes, maybe a little bit less, but all high value content. So if you commit to this, it will make a huge difference for you. So a quick note for those who are here, we're going to have an open Q&A at the end. I'll stop a few times throughout just to make sure you are clear on the different points that I will, of course, be touching on. And for those watching the replay, you are more than welcome to DM me. In fact, feel free to, would love to know who you are, where you're from, and a little bit more about you. So feel free to do that for those who are watching the replay. And then, of course, feel free to share love on Instagram. You can tag me at Travel with Tinsley and then Wonderful at Wonderful Creators. So a little bit about me. My name is Tinsley. I am a travel marketing strategist, influencer coach, content creator, and digital nomad, all the titles. And I'm sure you probably have the same amount of titles as me or even more. So for the past 6 years, I've worked in the travel and brands as a creator is one of them. Another is man travel brand strategist and those being influence brands as Can you hear me? Okay, I think we had a small glitch there. So let me pull my screen back up. 1 second. Alrighty, so yes, a little bit about me. Some amazing influencer client wins that my influencer clients have achieved include landing their first hotel collaboration, being invited on press trips by tourism boards, and getting paid to stay at hotels. So very similar to a situation that you may currently be in. When I first started out as a travel blogger, I felt like I was a small fish in a big pond. Everyone had the thousands of followers, 4K drone footage, tons of monthly views on their blog. At least it seemed like that to me. And they were mainly the ones that landed all the travel brand partnerships. So even though I wasn't sure how I would reach success as a travel blogger, I just kept going. And then with time, I landed my first paid brand partnership. And a month later, I landed my first hotel collaboration. The pandemic really opened my eyes to just realize travel brands needed influencers more than anything right now. And then especially with 2024 approaching and just working with different travel brands on their marketing strategy, I can almost guarantee you how surprised I am to just see influencer marketing being a part of it and how big their budgets are for compensating influencers for working with these types of brands. So with that, I decided to bring my skill set to the brand side and I started managing influencer marketing campaigns in 2020. As someone who besides a travel brand campaign, so of course I'm able to understand the influencer and creator side as someone who considers themselves a creator themselves, and then also working with creators and helping them land brand partnerships. And then also on the brand side, I've been on a mission to show more creators like you how to get paid to travel the world by working with brands. So just to share a few wins from previous students and current clients that I have, we have Ayana. She's a travel creator. She said Tinsley's a great coach and mentor, very friendly, and I've helped her develop her online brand and start pitching to brands as a creator. You have Alondra Flores. She said working with Tinsley is an amazing experience. She joined my group coaching program, and it really gave her the foundation to reach out to brands on her own. And as a result, she landed her first paid partnership. And then you have Taylor. She's a food and lifestyle creator. This is a message she sent to me on Instagram, how she was so excited about an Airbnb partnership that she landed, creating UGC content, and this was a paid partnership as well. And then you have Mia Stollert. She's a travel blogger and journalist. She landed a opportunity getting paid to write an article for a big travel publication, and she got paid to stay at a luxury hotel in her hometown. So if you're interested in results like that, today you will learn a little bit more on how to get invited on press trips. I will walk you through 5 different things that I strongly believe are very important to see that type of result in your business and on your online brand. So let's go ahead and jump into a little bit more about what exactly is a press trip. Because I understand, if you haven't been in this industry for a very long time, when I say this industry, more specifically the travel industry, you'll hear a lot more about press trips rather than influencers that in beauty or fashion. So just to talk a little bit what a press trip is, it's overall a complimentary experience where a company invites you to go to a destination and create content based on your experience. So this, of course, looks like you being flown out to Germany, for example, completely complimentary, so free, and the company asking you to create content about your experience around Germany. So the hotel that you're staying at, the restaurant, different museums that you're exploring. And what you'll do with that content, usually in return, is that you will send over that content to the brand and allow them to use that on their social media platforms and for other marketing purposes. So typically, all expenses paid. These trips are all expenses paid. Everything from your flight, your hotel, tours, food, and also some brands will even give you a stipend for spending money. So when I say all expenses paid, I mean all expenses paid. So usually brands that host press trips, they do this because it can result in an increase in traffic to website or potentially a service that they're selling, general awareness about the brand so that the general public know more about the brand, paying customers, and it also overall just helps them achieve their marketing goals. So sometimes I get this question from influencers, they ask me, well, brand want to pay for everything for to fly to this destination, like it just to be true. Well, technically on the brand side, it's the best way to go, because if you were to fly to the destination and you're doing as far as content, it will cost them a lot more. And then plus, if you are creating content for your social media platform, meaning while you're on this press trip, you are posting all the content on your social media, 9 times out of 10, the brand will not have the type of reach that you have. It doesn't matter whether you have 2K followers, 5K followers, 10K, the list goes on. Overall, what the brand is looking for is influencers that already have that connection with their audience, or content creators that can create beautiful content for the brand to use for marketing purposes. So there's 2 types of press trips. There's an individual press trip, and there's a group press trip. You will often find group press trips are more common in this industry. A big picture strategically, it makes more sense to do group press trips because you're able to get group rates when multiple influencers are doing activities together, compared to an individual press trip where that may not be available. So just to show you
So I think we lost her. Let me see if she's in the waiting room really quick. Oh, there she is. Okay.
Okay, I'm back. Apologies about that. Let me go ahead and pull everything back up. Share screen. Here we are. Let me present. Alrighty, there we go. So just to touch on the group press trip, on the other hand, in this case, you may be able to bring a +1. Like I've seen group press trips where they let you bring like 1 extra person. And always, if you get invited on a press trip, or shall I say when you get invited on a press trip, always feel free to ask the host, like, would it be possible for me to bring a +1? It's better to hear them say no than to think, oh, I wonder if I would have been able to bring a +1 on this trip. So feel free to ask. It's very common for influencers to ask that. So Sometimes you'll be able to do that on group press trips, but most of the time it's usually you being brought together with other influencers, perhaps from different areas of the world, and everyone just being brought together to just be able to experience a destination and work with the brand all in one. So to jump into the 5 different parts. So the first one is branding. So this is something that I really encourage you to have in order to be qualified or even considered on the brand side for a press trip. So this is really having clarity around like who you are as a creator, what type of content you create, and what type of audience you create it for. So those are the top 3 things. And when people when I bring up branding, people tend to think, oh, a logo, oh, like fonts, oh, colors. While that's all, yes, could be considered as branding, as far as like really starting out and when it comes to brand partnerships, I would say the main 3 things that are important is 1, are you an influencer, blogger, photographer, content creator, journalist, writer? What is your role? What do you consider yourself? UGC creator, user-generated content creator. What exactly is your role? Because that's important for the brand to know. That way we are able to pretty much predict what kind of content can we expect from you. So if you're an influencer, we're going to expect you to create content on your social media. If you're a blogger, we're going to expect blog posts. And the list really goes on as far as your role. So I encourage you to consider that. If you're pretty much solid as far as your decision on your role, the next step is interest. So what type of content do you primarily create? Is it, of course, I know that it's travel, but when it comes to the travel industry, it's always great to just go a little bit deeper rather than just be like surface level in the travel industry. So do you cover luxury travel? Do you cover budget travel? Do you cover sustainable travel? Do you cover food experiences while traveling? Do you cover music, art, film, fashion, beauty? The list goes on. And you're, of course, welcome to pick multiple different interests. I usually recommend up to 3 or 4. But it's always good to just have like that secondary niche. I really don't like to use the niche sometimes, but use the word niche sometimes, but that's why I use interest. But overall, it's really great to just be able to just narrow things down within the travel category, because that is helpful on the brand side for us to know, okay, would this influencer be a great fit for this luxury hotel, for example? We're not going to pick a budget travel blogger to go on a press trip for a luxury hotel because it doesn't make sense audience-wise. And which brings me to audience. So what type of audience do you create content for? Is it male, female, or both, or non-binary? Is it Gen Z? Is it millennial, or both, or Gen X, 60 plus? The list goes on. And where are they based? Are they based in New York? Are they based in Florida? Are they based in Cali? Are they based in New York, Florida, and Cali? Are they based in different countries? So when it comes to audience, it's really great to be clear on gender. As much as we don't like to
Oh, you're muted.
thank
Okay.
you.
Yep.
As much as we don't like to pick and choose between male or female, sometimes that is important for the brand. So is it male or female? Is it what age range are they in, and where are they based? Those are usually the most important things. Now, I would say for the top 3 takeaways for branding, brands are attracted to creators whose brand is in alignment with theirs. So similar to the luxury hotel hosting a press trip and wanting to invite luxury travel influencers. It just makes sense because their brands are in alignment. So once you get clear on your role, interest, and audience type, you will be able to further decide what makes sense for you as far as what travel brand should you work with and potentially go on press trips with. Another thing is aesthetic or pattern of the type of content that you create. So as I said, don't get too caught up in logos, color schemes, and fonts. That is all still important, but just not right now at this stage. I would say as far as your feed goes, being an influencer, even just being someone with a content portfolio, like a photographer, it's always good to have like a specific unique style of content that a brand can always expect from you. because that's what ultimately is going to make them attracted to inviting you on a press trip. Do they like the aesthetic that you of the content that you create, and do they want to see more content like that on their own marketing platforms? And then another thing is to think ahead. Think about when you're picking your role, interest, and audience type, don't think about what role, well, I would say don't think about what interest and audience type you have right now. Think about the interest and audience type you want to have in like in the future. I mean, it doesn't have to be all the way out until, the next 10 years, but think about what you want to have, not what you currently have. If both are in alignment, if you're happy with the type of audience and the type of content that you create right now, that's 100% fine. But I always recommend picking these based off of what you want to have, because the more that you create content for this type of audience and around these type of interests, the more people that you will attract that is interested in that. So that's the branding portion. I'm going to just check the chat, see how we're doing. Any questions about branding, feel free to drop them. And if not, I'll jump into case studies and come back to the branding part. All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about case studies. So press trips are a huge investment for brands. Like, I'm talking, it's it's thousands and thousands of dollars. I would say tens of thousands. Most brands pay at least $10,000 to make a press trip happen. I'm currently working on a press trip right now for a group of journalists. Actually, they're flying to Virgin Gorda. There is 6 of them, and the total cost of the press trip is looking around $50,000. So this sounds like a lot, but however, big brands, they have the budget to be able to allocate that to a press trip experience. But ultimately, with it being a lot of money, they want to ensure that their marketing dollars are being well spent. So with this, they are going to look for the creators that have proven results. And this is not 100% of the time, so don't let this discourage you. But they're more so going to be geared towards the creators that can pretty much prove that their audience is interested in the brand or the brand's type of services or products. So this is where case studies come in. So a case study is a pitching material that will ultimately show a brand that your audience is interested in a certain topic. So I have a client that's in my group coaching program. She recently traveled to El Salvador, for an example. So a case study that will be great for her is all of the different content that she created around El Salvador and all of the comments that people have said about El Salvador, including, the stories that she's posting, if she has any story replies. It would be great for her to put all that together in a case study. And when she wants to go back to El Salvador, and she really enjoyed her trip there, so I'm sure she'll go back soon. When she goes back to El Salvador, she can pitch to the tourism board and tell them, hey, I was just here 6 months ago, for example, and this is how my audience reacted to the content that I created around the destination. That is a really great way to land a press trip opportunity, and even a travel brand partnership is going to the brand and letting them know, my audience is already interested in what you have to offer. How can we work together? Or is there an opportunity for us to work together? So that's one example of what a case study could look like. Another one could be a previous brand partnership that you have had where your audience really engaged a lot with your content, where you've influenced your audience decisions to travel somewhere. And because it overall just shows the brand that, if we work with this creator, so going back to the El Salvador example, if we work with this creator, this is a type of engagement we can expect from their audience. This is a type of response that we can expect from their audience as far as, will they choose our destination for their next vacation? And also, the brand wants to know that your audience respects your opinion and suggestions. So when you're on your stories or when you're on your feed and you're writing content around that specific destination, is your audience actually looking at it and thinking, oh my gosh, like that actually, maybe I should consider that for my next trip. Like, they want to know that as an influence, you have influence over your audience, because that is what matters the most when it comes to ensuring that their marketing dollars are being well spent. So some top 3 takeaways here, I would say, is create a case study. You can choose one or both ways to create a case study. Rather, you want to go the route where you recently went on a trip, your audience reacted to it very well, and you want to showcase that to a brand. So when you go back to that specific destination, or when you go back to a similar destination. So for the El Salvador one, my student that's in the group coaching program, maybe she doesn't want to go back to El Salvador right now, but she can go back to Nicaragua, or she can go back to Costa Rica. Those are very similar destinations to El Salvador, and she can show, look at how my audience was so interested in El Salvador, and it has similar, that destination in particular has similar experiences as far as, like, nature goes, as far as food goes, as far as even wellness goes. So you can use that for similar destinations. We can think wine country. So if you went to, I don't know, Sonoma, you can use that Sonoma or Napa example for when you go to a wine country in France, when you go to a wine country in Chile. So those are just different examples of how you can really leverage a case study based off of your audience, how your audience has reacted to the content that you're already creating. And then another one will, of course, be just from previous brand collaboration. If you worked with a brand before and you want to go the route of showcasing a previous brand collaboration, I encourage you to showcase any increase in sales that the brand has experienced from working with you. Maybe the brand received more followers because you were tagging them a lot in your stories as you were promoting the destination or brand to your audience. Maybe they experienced a lot of web traffic while partnering with you. So you want to include this when you share your case study as well as your pitch to brands. Include screenshots of comments such as your audience saying, "Oh, I have to go here," or "I'm booking this hotel next time I go to, X city," or I'm adding this to my bucket list. I just booked the trip. I just followed the hotel. Like, these are great comments to screenshot and put together in a case study, because ultimately the brand wants to see that your audience is engaged and are showing interest in a similar product or service that they're selling. So that's case studies. Just going to check the chat really quickly. Sarah said, any tips for other things you can include in a case study if you don't have a ton of social media engagement? I'm a blogger, so focus my efforts on blog posts and just reshare on social, or how to get more social engagement. Sure. So I'll address the social media engagement one part of the question first. So how to get more social media engagement. I talk a lot about Instagram, but you can use this for Facebook too, and you can use this for TikTok, because I believe TikTok has stories now. But for stories, for example, stories on any type of platform, use stickers, use polls. Those are the best ways for your engagement rate for story overall increase. Or ask your audience questions. That's a great way to get more replies to your stories. When it comes to posts, so like actual in-feed posts across any social media platform, Facebook, YouTube videos, or TikTok videos, include call to actions in your captions. So an example of a call to action for a trip to Rochester. Let's talk about Rochester again. For a trip to Rochester, you can say your caption talks about, enjoying the fall foliage in Rochester. It's such a beautiful time to be here in October. Comment below if you visited Rochester before. That is a call to action. The comment below if you visited Rochester before. Someone that's reading that caption will feel more intrigued to comment and let you know, oh yes, I've been to Rochester before. Actually, I'm from there. You have to visit X place. Or I haven't been to Rochester before, but it looks beautiful. Again, encourages people to comment rather than you just leaving that out, and people just look at it and say, oh, beautiful fall foliage in Rochester, like it, and keep going. So for as far as other things to include in a case study for a blogger, you can include let me know if you guys are able to hear me. I just received a message saying that my internet is unstable. You can just put like yes in the chat or something. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Jordan. So for an example for a blogger, you can put, so for bloggers, I understand why you would ask this question, because it could be a little bit more not as easy as social media. But if you're getting comments on your blogs, definitely include that. You want to include your monthly viewership, or any type of viewership. Really doesn't have to be monthly, but you know, you want to showcase the brand, that people are like reading your blogs and they're engaged with it. If you have an email list, because I know that a lot of bloggers like to like link their blog in their email list to let people know when they have a new blog post. If you have an email list, that's a great way to promote your blog as well. If you're on Pinterest, because I know a lot of bloggers are on Pinterest, you can also talk about your traffic that comes from Pinterest to your blog. So there's quite a few different what's the word in particular, like quite a few different statistics that you can pull to include in like a case study. But ultimately, I do think those call to actions are going to be very helpful, not even just on social media, but feel free to put them in your blogs. Feel free to put like in the beginning of your blog, or in the middle, or in the end, like comment on this blog if you've been to Rochester before, or if you're interested in, I don't know, visiting this coffee shop in Rochester. Like, encourage people to engage with you by asking them a question. Love it. I was actually working on a post today and did put a question at the end. There we go. There we go. I'm telling you, it's crazy, but people will not engage unless you tell them to. It happens all the time. I mean, unless they're just like, you know, they just love your content and they always want to comment. But usually once you put that CTA in there, that call to action, it makes a world of a difference. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to pitching. So for pitching, I highly encourage you to make sure you are on make sure all the travel brands in your hometown. So the town that you are living in currently, if you're a digital nomad, go with the city that you're usually in the most. But make sure all the travel brands in your hometown know who you are, because that's going to take things a long way as far as press trip opportunities. Because one thing that we always take into consideration when it comes to press trips is, okay, where is this influencer located? So for the press trip I'm planning right now to Virgin Gorda, we are only inviting journalists and writers who are based in the United States. So for those who are, I don't know, digital nomads in like London, even though they may have like the millions of followers, who knows, and the best engagement rate ever, best content ever, we will not consider them, because we're not looking for that type of audience, nor do we have the budget to fly somebody from London to Virgin Gorda. We're looking for people who are only based in the US. Now, that's not for all press trips. I'm just giving you that as an example. But overall, where you're based and the travel brands that are based there is going to most likely consider you over creators that are based in other cities. So another example that I can give you is, if you're based in Orlando, make sure Visit Orlando knows who you are, knows that you're interested in working with them. Make sure, I'm trying to think of a hotel in Orlando. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Make sure the Ritz-Carlton or Orlando, if you're a luxury travel blogger, knows who you are. Make sure you've pitched them, you've sent them an introduction pitch, and that they know that you want to be considered for any of the press trips they have going on. Because since you're based there, it's easier for them to be able to fly you to these destinations that they are looking to do press trips for. So you can do this by sending out introduction pitches. So an introduction pitch is a lot different from a collaboration pitch. With the introduction pitch, all you have to do is send a very short email letting the brand know who you are, what type of content you create, who you create it for, and why you're reaching out. So really going back to my first point about branding, who you are. For example, you're an influencer. What type of content do you create? You are a luxury travel influencer that creates content for families. And who do you create the content for? Well, I just answered that. You create content for families. Why are you reaching out? To put yourself on their radar for any press trips that they have coming up. Another thing that I highly recommend is to go beyond tourism boards. People, I don't know, but I guess I understand, like, prior to not being on the brand side, I always thought that tourism boards only did press trips, but the truth is hotels do press trips. The press trip that I'm doing right now to Virgin Gorda is actually an airline. Airlines do press trips. Cruise lines do press trips. Tour operators do press trips. And also fashion and wellness brands do press trips as well. So if I'm trying to think of a wellness brand that I recently, I think a fashion brand would be a better example to give you. Anthropologie, they did a press trip with one of my clients last year. And it's very interesting because you wouldn't think that, like, you know, a fashion or even just a line such as Anthropologie would do a press trip, but they did do one. And I just want you to consider this when you're doing like your pitches and you're reaching out to local brands, to think about fashion lines and wellness lines as well, because they do press trips to promote their products in other destinations. So the top 3 takeaways is summer season is prime season for press trips. Like, I kid you not. Over this summer, all my clients had a press trip. All of them. All of my hotel and travel brand clients had a press trip, and I have a total of 8 clients. So summer season is the best season for press trips, mainly because, of course, for those who are in the Northern Hemisphere, it's summer season, so the weather is beautiful nearly everywhere. So on the destination side and on the brand side, we want you to visit our destination. We want you to visit our hotel. We want you to experience flying with our airline during the best season, where there's the best weather. So you want to pitch press trips between January and May, so to ensure that you are considered and you are on their invite list for when summer season comes around. Of course, they will invite you far before the press trip that is happening during the summer. So usually if we have a press trip happening in the summer, like for example, for my hotel client that's in Switzerland, we had their press trip in June. We started sending out invitations for that in March. So if you're pitching in January, February, March, you will definitely be considered for that because you're pitching during the perfect time that we are looking for people to attend this press trip. So pitch mainly between January and May to be considered for those trips that are happening June through September. Send your intro pitches, letting them know you want to be considered for press trips, and you can even share some content ideas. Like, I always recommend, like, you know, it's always great to let them know who you are, but it's always great to go a little bit further and let them know some content ideas that you have for them if you were to be invited on one of their press trips. And also consider sending your pitches to local brands, as I mentioned. So if you're based in Florida, the example with Orlando, make sure the tourism board there is getting it, tourism boards, shall I say, because there's multiple in Orlando. Make sure the hotels know that you're looking to be invited on press trips. Any of the tour operators there, make sure they all know. And then on top of that, feel free to pitch to like your top favorite brands. If you want to travel to South Africa, make sure the South Africa Tourism Board knows that you are looking to be considered for press trips. If you're looking to travel to Hawaii, make sure, probably not the best example to use right now, given what Hawaii just experienced. But if you're looking to travel to Japan, a lot of people are traveling there right now, given that they just opened up their borders. So make sure that Japan Tourism Board knows that you're looking to be considered for press trips. So that's pitching. I'm going to move on to connections. So when putting together a press trip, the host knows the importance of having a group that will get along well. So as a press trip host myself, I've been a host quite a few times. It's important that the group that I'm putting together gets along well. And of course, I'm not going to know that because all the time, because I'm most of the time inviting strangers to be on a trip together. But the best way that I can predict that is by like scanning through their Instagram, looking at things that they're interested in. And I say, oh, like, I think that person likes hiking. And you know what? Their influencer likes hiking too. I can definitely see them getting along on this trip. We always aim to do this because we want to ensure, of course, like the energy and the flow of the trip is going very well. There has been several press trips where there has been a lot of drama. I know. Can you believe it? People are actually bringing drama on press trips, all expensive paid experiences, and people can't put their differences aside. It happens. But as the host, we try to prevent this by just ensuring everyone who's being invited on a trip gets along well. So things that we take into consideration when we're putting together these invite lists is we think, oh, let's invite a couple. because let me back up a little bit. When it comes to, before we send out press trip invites, we ask ourselves, how many people do we want to invite on this press trip? Usually it's between 3 to 6. Some press trips are 3, some press trips are 4, 5, or 6. It's usually around there on average. And then from there, we think, set press trip with 6 people. We think, well, instead of reaching out to fill 6 spots, why don't we just reach out to a couple and have them fill 2 spots? Because not only will that make our pitching efforts easier, but when it comes to having to pay for a hotel room for them, we don't have to worry about paying for 2 rooms. They can just share a room. So we love inviting couples. So if your boyfriend or girlfriend or significant other is a creator, you're definitely in a good boat. We love inviting friends, of course, still. So if you have any friends that are creators, community over competition, definitely pitch yourself together for press trip opportunities. We love to see it. And we love inviting families as well. So if your sister, your brother, I don't know, your mom is an influencer as well. We love inviting families together, because also really going back to that idea where we don't have to pay for an extra room. And also we know for a fact that you two get along together because you already hang out with each other in real life. So connections you have with other creators can really increase your chances of being invited on press trips. So community over competition, build relationships with other travel creators. You're part of the wonderful community, so there's so much opportunity for that. And you can also build relationships with other travel creators virtually or in person. So I don't know, if you're based in a little small town and there's not a lot of creators there, don't feel like this may not be an option for you. It's funny, I say to this day, most of my best friends I've met online, because either I reached out to them over DM saying I wanted to get to know them a little bit more, or they've reached out to me over DM saying, I want to get to know you a little bit more. So don't be afraid to reach out to people and other creators and just let them know, hey, I love your content. Not to sound creepy, but I feel like we have like a lot of things in common. Would love to connect further. Attend conferences, travel conferences. So like WITS, the Women in Travel Summit, that's a really good example for one where you can go and meet other like-minded creators. Local industry events, those are also great places to meet other like-minded creators. Join online courses or coaching programs to be connected with other like-minded creators as well. So those are the top ways to really build those connections and use and be able to leverage those connections that you have to be invited on press trips. Alrighty, just want to check the chat. Crystal said, this is very informative. So glad, yeah. Absolutely. So glad to hear that. I've worked with a lot of travel brands to create content, but I have done it in a place of complimentary items, I'm guessing, comped items, such as a free room, free excursion, etc. It's been because of my outreach, and I'm happy to do that, especially when I want to travel anyway. But our press trips generally pay too. The experiences are fantastic, but making money would be nice for the work that goes into creating content. I absolutely agree, especially given that travel brands and just brands in general have the marketing budget to be able to compensate you. It is a thing. Let me start off by saying that it is a thing to be able to get paid on top of a press trip. Usually I'd say I see this happen the most when it's an individual press trip, because it's kind of like not fair for us to like pay you, for example, Sarah, and there's like 5 other creators that are on the trip that we may not have the budget to pay everybody on the trip. So usually this is done on an individual basis that I've seen the most, or if it's done on a group basis, or or if it's also done in general, it will be because it's a UGC creator. So that person is creating reels for us to post on our hotel's Instagram, or that person is a photographer and they are providing photography content for us to use in our paid ads or use on our website. So that is usually where I see paid experiences come into play. And some of us are full-time, so payment definitely helps because we got to still pay the bills. Absolutely. 1,000 times agree with you. That makes sense. I love the experiences and would be grateful to attend those, but just curious. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think that it sometimes it really does get to the point to where you may have to reject some press trips opportunities because it just doesn't make sense financially. And it does suck sometimes, especially if it's to like a dream destination, but just know that rejecting that opportunity just like creates more space for a paid one to come your way. So sometimes that happens. Another quick tip I want to give you, and this is something I see a lot of creators do, is maybe they'll take on the free press trip where it's not paid, but they're also, on top of being a travel influencer, they're a fashion influencer. So they will work out fashion partnerships where basically the fashion brand will send them a bunch of free clothes and pay them on top of that to create content while they're in the destination while on a press trip. So I hope that makes sense. I know that was a lot, but basically you can reach out to Forever 21. I'm just listing store names, but you can reach out to Forever 21, want to partner with them, let them know I have a press trip coming up with the tourism board of Las Vegas, and would love to have some clothes and be able to shoot them in the destination in exchange for content for your brand. And they'll reach back out to you and say, yeah, absolutely. We would love to send you, I don't know, 10 items. And then in exchange, we'll pay you $2,000 to create, I don't know, 50 photography images for that. I see that happen a lot. Fashion is an example, beauty is an example too. Like people bring sunscreen to like a press trip in Aruba, like just thinking of an island destination where the sun's out a lot. People bring diving into the food and beverage industry, people bring like snacks on a road trip. So that road trip is still a press trip, but like you're being paid to like promote these snacks in the car. So really being able to just like bring other industries in will allow you to fund these press trips that you're going on. So I'm going to go over PR agencies. This is our last point. So PR agencies, also known as public relations agencies, is a company of publicists who represents several brands by overseeing their communications efforts. So basically what that means is a PR agency is one company. The people that work at that PR agency, they are called publicists. And each publicist usually has several different clients. So, and what they do is they oversee their communications efforts. So that's anything such as broadcast, so that travel brand being featured on the news, online or print, so that travel brand being featured in Travel and Leisure, for example, as well as influencer relations, so that travel brand being featured on an influencer's YouTube, podcast, TikTok, Instagram, blog, the list goes on. PR agencies, they usually oversee influencer relations for a travel brand, and they are the ones who are responsible for finding the influencers for these press trips, negotiating the deliverables that you will create on these press trips, managing the collaborations, even if it's not a press trip, even if it's just like you're reaching out to a hotel in France because you have a trip coming up in France. PR agencies handle that. They organize and they host the press trips. So when you're reaching out to these travel brands, if they have a PR agency, they're likely just going to like send you over to their PR agency because they probably don't do all of the A through Z that happens with these press trips. But a great way for you to just basically go straight to cut to the chase, not have to go straight through the brand and just cut to the chase. You can just go straight through the PR agency and be connected with several other brands. So I put here as an example, instead of pitching to 10 airlines, you can just pitch to one PR agency that represents 10 airlines. So that's one pitch instead of 10 pitches. And that is one person, one publicist that you have to deal with rather than 10 different representatives of brands. So PR agencies are like a pot of gold, definitely something that helps this industry out a lot, and you being able to build a relationship with a publicist will take you a long way. So that brings me to point number 1 for our top 3 takeaways. Network with publicists in your area. Introduce yourself to one, invite them out for coffee, get to know them on a personal and professional level, because this will help you out a lot as far as being considered as for the top people that receive that press trip invitation. Having those connections already established with publicists. And the funny part about it is that it can just be one publicist. We have our favorites as far as being on a brand side, where no matter what client we are doing a press trip for, certain influencers are always just going to be on that invitation list. So for you to be that, you definitely want to network with publicists and ensure that you are top of mind for these types of opportunities. Have the PR agency or publicist at the agency send you their current client list. So some PR agencies, they will have their client list on their website. Others, they may not have it. Feel free to reach out to someone on their staff and say, hey, I'm interested in collaborating with some of your clients. Would you mind sending me over their client list? And then that way you can see all the different hotels, tourism boards, airlines, and tour operators that one PR agency represents. Some great websites that you can go on to find PR agencies includes Odire, PR Week, and Provoke Media. So that's all I have for you for press trips. Before I jump into the questions and before we have a final Q&A, I want to share a little bit more about an opportunity for you to work with me a little bit more as far as getting further support and really customized support for your journey as you pitch for press trip opportunities and start to monetize your efforts as an influencer, content creator, or overall creative entrepreneur in the travel and tourism industry. So I am currently enrolling for my mastermind. It's called the Profitable Travelpreneur Mastermind. It is a 6-month program for a premier community-powered experience where both beginner and advanced travel-loving creators become well-paid creative entrepreneurs. So this is a customized roadmap to get paid to travel the world. If you're interested a little bit more on details for this mastermind, you can feel free to DM me the word mastermind on Instagram. I'll send you the application, and plus I'll walk you through all the logistics so you can know a little bit more about it. Currently, I'm running a special where if you join before December, you'll get $500 off the program. And then just to share a little bit more about what the program includes, it includes both private and group coaching. So you'll get private coaching from me one-on-one, and then you'll also be in a group with 7 other creators, like-minded individuals who are also working towards the shared goal that you have to monetize your online business as a travel creator. You will receive a customized business plan very specific to goals that you have for the next 6 months, as well as weekly to-dos, because accountability is so important in order to accomplish our goals. There's also co-working sessions within the community, and then we do sales and content planning calls so that we are ensuring that sales is always at the top of lists of priorities and that you're doing sales actions in order to monetize your efforts. And also the content is always rolling in, because we know ultimately in order to partner with brands or even overall have an online business as a creator, content is king. So a couple other things that the mastermind includes is, as I mentioned, a very intimate community of just 7 other creators, including, and you will be the 8th one, access to guest experts trainings, and those would just be industry leaders within the travel and tourism industry. I'll bring in some of my friends. Lifetime access to the Well Traveled Creator Academy. That is my signature course on how to partner with travel brands. And then lifetime access to all the courses and programs that I launch in 2024. And I also forgot to mention here that you'll get access to all the courses and programs I've launched in 2023 as well. So if you're interested, or if you want to hear a little bit more about this, you can just DM me the word mastermind on Instagram at Travel with Tinsley, and I'll share more information with you, but wanted to leave just, of course, some time for us to have a final Q&A. Okay, where did we leave off? $1 million question. How do you find the right PR company that represents those travel companies? Well, there's several PR agencies. That's the thing. So you can find them on those websites that I mentioned. So Odire, PR Week, and then Provoke Media. And there are so many PR agencies. Like, I wouldn't say that there's so many to where we're like in the hundreds, but we're definitely like 50 plus PR agencies. So some some of them will represent a lot more than others, and really those sites like Odire will tell you that. They'll let you know how big like their travel division is, or if they're just a travel PR agency in general. And they will also give you their website so you can go see what their client list looks like. I'm interested in getting a talent manager. Do you have any recommendations for managers that are taking on micro influencers? Because many won't take you unless you've got a 6-figure creator income. I actually am not very familiar with the influencer management world. I know what influencer managers are because, of course, I work on the brand side. So instead of like negotiating with creators, I sometimes have to negotiate with their managers. But I'm not super familiar on like, recommendations for managers that are taking on micro influencers. So sorry, I can't help you with that, but I wish you the best of luck with being able to find one. I'm sure you'll come across someone that's offering that service. Sarah said, thank you for all of this. Followed you on Insta. Are you on LinkedIn, Tinsley? If so, how can we find you and connect with you on there too? Yes, I am. I'm on LinkedIn. I'll drop my LinkedIn. Honestly, I'm not a huge LinkedIn person because I use it primarily for like my hotel clients because like, they're on there. But you're more than welcome to add me on LinkedIn. It's going to be my first and last name, Alexis Tinsley, but I go by my last name, which is Tinsley. So just drop it in the chat so that you can see. Would love for everyone to drop their hats so that we can follow each other. Yes, stay connected. Stay connected. As I mentioned, community over competition. What title should we target when reaching out to someone in a PR company? What title? Let me know a little bit more what you mean by that. Like what subject line or what PR agency? You're welcome, Beatrice. What job role? So everyone within a PR agency is going to be a publicist. You may come across like different job roles like account executive, senior account executive, vice president, I don't know, managing partner. Everyone there should be able to help you. I think when it comes to the actual travel brand itself, like if you're reaching out to Delta Airlines, for example, then yes, that's when the role is important. That's when I would tell you, okay, only reach out to someone who's in their marketing department, their social media department, or their public relations department. You don't necessarily have any business reaching out to anyone that's like in guest services or like sales or I don't know, the list goes on, or like air traffic controllers. Like, you want to reach out to the people that are within their social media department, marketing, or public relations. I would say public relations is number one. If there's someone that has PR in their name, like public relations manager, public relations coordinator, public relations director, they will be the first person you want to reach out to. If there's no one in PR, the next person you want to reach out to is marketing. There's no one in marketing, the next person you want to reach out to is social media. If there's no one in social media, then reach out to guest relations and see if they can put you in contact with the person that handles their influencer relations. Overall, someone will be able to help you. If guest relations doesn't answer your email, if it's a hotel or an airline, you can always call them. Is there a way to find out which travel brands host press trips? That's a great question. And I was actually talking to one of my clients in a group coaching program last night because I was just thinking, I wish there was a way where like there was like a list of brands that work with influencers and pay them and the ones that don't. So we can just like avoid the ones that are on the don't list, right? But unfortunately, there isn't a way to really find that out. The only way that you can find out is just by pitching. What you can always do though is you can do like your own research by like going on Instagram, for example, and just seeing like what brands have recently hosted like press trips. Sometimes brands will post about their own press trips. So like go on like Marriott's site and see like if any Marriott hotels have recently posted a bunch of influencers together or posted a bunch of journalists together. Then you can kind of like put 2 and 2 together and like assume like that was a press trip. Or you can go the other way, or you can go on a bunch of like influencers profiles and see who's been going on press trips and what brands they've been going on press trips for. That's another great way to look for paid opportunities, see what brands other creators are working with, and if their collaborations say like paid partnership at the top on Instagram, then you can kind of like make the assumption, okay, they got paid to work with this brand, so maybe I should pitch that brand too, so I can get paid to work with that brand. So sometimes you got to do a little bit of Instagram stalking. But ultimately, the only way to truly, truly find out is by pitching. Alrighty, so I know we're at the hour, so I'll let that be our last question. Thank you everyone so much. This was a lot of fun. This was actually the first time I've really done a class all about press trips. So glad that I was able to have you here and let you be one of the first people to hear about it. If you have any questions about further working with me or further being able to be supported in your business as far as working with travel brands and also as far as building a profitable online business, you can message me on Instagram. We can chat about the mastermind, or you can just let me know a little bit more about your goals and what you're working towards, and we can see if working together would be a great fit. So thank you so much, everyone. Love all your kind comments, not me running to your IG, Tinsley. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jordan, Crystal, Sarah, Lenora, Brown Beauty Abroad. Ooh, love it. Love it. Thank you. Thanks, Beatrice. Amara said, will there be a recording? Yes, there will be. Yes, there will be. Alrighty. Have a great evening, everyone. Bye.